Glazer. I work with Investor Quarters and REI Live Sarasota. I am so excited to have Bob Massanova with us. He works with and owns Southwest Florida Home Inspections, so he covers most of the coast of Florida and even more, but he has so many tips that he can share with you, and he truly has a passion for learning and understanding the codes and what's going on and why things are happening. But I feel like your true passion is teaching and sharing that information that you've gathered. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're absolutely right. I love teaching people how to learn about houses and what they need to know for, especially for investing.
Yes, and you've always been able to answer all of my questions in a way that I can understand, where I feel like I talk to some of my contractors or my experienced investor friends and they talk way over my head, where when I come to you with questions, you're like, no, this is what's actually happening. So what is going on with inspections right now with coronavirus as we're opening back up?
Well, one of the biggest things we were talking about prior to all this starting, when I was coming to your meetings, we were talking about the pool codes changing. Well, of course, that's been put on hold because the legislature hasn't been meeting. So I don't see that happening in October now. They'll probably put that off for another year, I hope. I mean, because I really didn't want to see it happen because it would just hurt everybody. So the pool codes right now are on hold. The codes are in place, but they're not going to enforce them.
Okay.
So we'll leave it at that. Through COVID, the biggest thing I tell you is we were down probably about 1,000 inspections by the middle of May, and we're now about only 250 behind. So we've gained a lot in the last couple of weeks with the craziness. We're doing well over 100 inspections a week right now. So it totally blows me away. We're getting a lot of people that are not here buying houses sight unseen. So we always have to deal with people after the fact of, you know, what did we miss? They're not happy because they thought they were buying a brand new house. That's always that way. And sellers, don't get me wrong, sellers never disclose what's going on anyway. It's just what it is. So market is going crazy, absolutely crazy. People are coming here buying. We were talking earlier that Signpost company that I own, we have taken out so many posts over the last 2 months. The market share is really small now, but those people that were looking to sell their house for any number that they could get to, you know, see what sticks to the wall, they pretty much have taken their houses off the market because they don't want people in their houses, which is a good thing. I mean, because there are a lot of wasted time for realtors to run their buyers around and look at these places that are overpriced. So that's what's going on there with COVID. All the guys do have face masks. We have sanitizers. We have rules in the house. We only allow one buyer in the house. The realtors, we ask them to basically sit out in their car in the air conditioning and wait. No, we don't want too many people in the house. We don't want to have. We want to keep social distancing. So we just want to try to control it. And if the buyer decides that they want to start opening cabinets, turning on water, we ask them to leave because we do not want them touching anything. Because don't get me wrong, most of the guys do not wear gloves because of the phone. It's tough with a glove and to work the phone to do our program on it. So we just ask people, please do not touch until we're done.
Yeah. So there are a few names that I don't recognize on here, so welcome. But I know most of you guys know, but Bob, you have 2 separate inspection programs that you offer, one that's specifically designed for investors. Would you mind sharing a little bit about that because I believe most of the people on this call are investors?
Sure, absolutely. So we do investor inspections. And because I belong to Sarasota REIA and REIA Live, we are working for you guys. We know you guys are looking to, most of the houses you're looking at need a lot of work. And you really don't care if the ceiling fan works, if the lights work, if the outlets work. You know, you're looking at the dollar numbers, the big dollar numbers, to see if those things work properly. And then you can make that decision on how much it's going to cost you to fix that house up or get it ready to usually to flip it or to rent it. And what we do is we discounted heavily because all we're doing is what we call a boo-boo inspection. We're only letting you know what is wrong with the home. We're going to still let you know the age of the water heater, the age of the air conditioner, the age of the roof, how much time's left in it. We're still going to let you know those things. But we start at $201 for these investor inspections. And we only do it for people that are part of either group. An investor is, every homeowner is an investor. So we do not allow people to say, well, I'm getting an investor, but I'm going to live in that house. That's not an investor's inspection. So we are really careful on making sure that it is for that purpose. Because if we're doing a house that you're going to live in, then we have to follow the state standards of practice on what needs to be in a report. So big difference in those in what we're looking at inspections. A normal 2,000 square foot inspection is $360, $357. For you guys, it would be $251.
That's awesome.
So that's the difference.
That is a huge difference. And then you also have a product that is kind of a pre-inspection when you're going to list a home, correct? That you can come in and talk to us a little bit about that one.
So if you're actually doing a pre-listing, pre-sale inspection, we will go in and we will look for everything. We'll look for the major cosmetics, but not the simple cosmetics to put in a report, because somebody's going to be looking at that report. Somebody that they're going to bring their inspector in to find things. So the difference there is we give when you're doing a pre-sale, we give you a 120-day home warranty for the inspection. It covers up to $500 for any appliances that are less than 11 years old if they should break down. So you can get up to $500. We cover the sewer pipe for 90 days. We cover, if we do a termite inspection, then we give you a termite warranty. If we do a visual mold, if we don't see any mold, you can get a 90-day mold. And we also give you a 5-year roof leak protection plan. So for the next 5 years, if you should get a leak, for a $500 deductible, you can get that fixed. And that is transferable to the buyer. So it's a way of selling your home a little bit better, because if you're a realtor and you put it up on the MLS, then you're able to put those things in there to sell your house quicker.
Yes, which, especially with people being a little bit more hands-off right now, I feel like that could be a benefit.
And one of the other things, one of the big things, and we only started doing this about 3 months ago. So we do the pre-sale inspection. Somebody else comes in and does the buyer's inspection, and they find something so serious that it delays the closing.
Okay.
So maybe something happened that somebody hit a wall and destroyed a wall between, so it has to be serious, something serious. And the closing is not going to happen for another 30 days. We have a $5,000 a month mortgage warranty. So up to $5,000 could be paid for the seller's mortgage for 3 months until this house goes to closing, so they can get that item fixed.
That's awesome.
So I'm believing we are the only company in Southwest Florida doing that.
That's amazing. And let's cover your territory, which I know that we went over that a little bit earlier, but now that we're recording for everybody, you cover from Brandon to Naples?
Brandon and Naples, and we go into St. Pete.
Very cool. That's amazing. Huge territory.
We have 10 inspectors. We do work for a termite company, 2020 PI, so all the inspectors are certified to do termite inspections. We don't do pest control. So SWF does not do termite. 2020 PI does.
Okay.
Got to distinguish that. It's
okay.
Different license.
Okay. Very cool. So what do you see as everything's opening back up? You're busier than ever. How far out are your inspections for you to go get into a house? Let's say an investor is looking at a distressed property.
Right now we're finishing up Monday, getting ready to go into Tuesday.
Okay. So about a week out.
Yeah, we're a good 5-6 days out now, which is unusual. Normally we're only 2 or 3, but because of the way it is, and I don't know if you can see one of my screens with our schedule. That's what our schedule looks like.
That's packed. That's amazing. So To me, it's a good sign because that means that people are spending money. You guys are going out. People are working. Our economy is hopefully coming back very quickly. I've seen a lot of reports that says Florida is going to come back very quickly, so that makes me happy. So
Yeah, and I think we just don't know, we made a big breakthrough. So up in Riverview, we just hired our first Black gentleman as a home inspector.
okay.
That is a market that is very hard to touch because don't get me wrong, Black people like to hire Black inspectors. They feel very comfortable, and I get that. Just like Hispanics, Hispanics like to only hire Hispanic inspectors because they don't want to be translators. So that was a huge break for us when Marcus came to us. So he'll start to train next week. He's going up for his WDO training today. He'll be gone for 4 days. So Marcus will be in there doing that. And then we're getting ready to hire our second woman inspector.
That's awesome. We have an eye for detail, so I know she's going to kill it. So that's awesome. Congratulations. That's amazing. So we're expanding teams. We're growing. Are you planning on taking on Tampa anytime soon, or are you going to stick to just kind of the Fork?
Well, hopefully with Marcus, once he gets trained, we have a nine-week training program. Once he's trained, then yes, we will be able to go into Tampa because he's in Riverview.
Right.
So that'll open that market up. We already do mold assessments for Security First, the major insurance company in the state. When you get a flood, they call us to do the mold assessment in the house. So we go all the way up to Spring Hill and all the way to Naples for them to do with them. And then we do radon. Radon is actually about 52% of the homes have elevated radon. It's here, it's in our aggregate, it's not going away. So don't let anybody ever tell you there's no radon here. It's never like up north. No, up north will be in the 160s, 170s. Here it's between 4 and 12. Still bad, but it's low.
Yeah, that's interesting because as soon as I got into real estate, all of my realtor classes, they were like, "Oh, you don't have to worry about that." Like and we really do. So that's a good thing to point out. So what do you see changing in the next, 4 to 6 months with inspections and with homes and codes as things start opening back up? I know that pools are off, which that was a little crazy. The regulations that you were explaining to us. So I'm glad to hear that those are being pushed off and brought up. So I guess I have a question on that. Will everything continue as it was where you're grandfathered in, or what are they expecting for the pools?
Yeah, everything will be grandfathered in. The only thing that changes in 2004, actually, that's when baby gates were required, alarms on doors and windows going to the pool were required. So we'll still be look at them for homes for 2004 and after. Before that, we can't tell anybody that they have to put anything in. That's what the law was trying to change. They were trying to make people that have a 1970s home with a pool put all these systems in place to protect children or somebody from getting hurt. So that's off the table right now.
Very cool. So what else do you see changing, or what else is on the books coming up that you see in the next 4 to 6 months?
I really don't. There's no big changes coming in that we understand and that are coming out of all our classes, our conferences, the state, national. Nothing going on right now, which is great. The biggest thing is the inspectors. We have seen a slowdown of people taking classes and tests for inspections. We are a proctor for the state. Prior to March, we were doing 4 or 5 people a week taking the test. Now we're down to maybe 1 every other week right now, because everybody thinks they can be a home inspector. Don't get me wrong; they think they can. They have no clue what it is. And the nicest thing about having a large company is we can train people quick and understand, because we have a program that they have to follow, and they're learning all the codes and how to say things correctly. People that have licenses that are 11,000 and above have only been in business about 1.5 years. So we all started somewhere. Don't get me wrong, we all started somewhere. We all messed up somewhere. It's really difficult in a sue happy world now, that trying to get out there and get your foot in the door is difficult. And joining large companies it should be the way to go for anybody. If I had to start all over again, I'd work for somebody.
Oh, no, I love you having Southwest Florida because I get to talk to you then. So it looks like we have a couple questions that I'm going to put in the chat box for everybody. If you guys do have questions for Bob, please don't hesitate to drop them in the chat box. I'm posting in it now. If you have questions, please post here. ADA compliance is to swimming pools for rentals and Airbnbs. That doesn't seem like a complete question, Jesse. Unless
Well,
it makes more sense
yeah,
to
I
you, Bob.
understand what he's saying. I understand what he's saying. The biggest thing you always want to stay away from is that word ADA. Everything should always be handicap compliant.
Okay.
ADA is a whole different world on how things have to be in a world. No house could ever be ADA compliant. It's impossible. You got to have countertops that go up and down for somebody in a wheelchair. It just goes off the chart. So we're always looking at handicap if you're doing rentals. There has to be an access for them. If you're going to advertise that, you don't need to advertise a house that is not. So if you're planning on interviewing somebody to rent your property that is handicapped, then you're going to have to comply to them to get them some things in there. But most homes are not, because doors are for bathrooms are not 36 inches wide. So no home is usually handicap compliant. So that's something that you'll have to deal with as it comes on. So hopefully you'll know someone that has a home that is handicap compliant that you can send it to. And that's the greatest thing about this group of people, because we can share and find someone or find something that we need.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Does anyone else have any other questions for Bob?
So while I got that, I'm going to ask everybody to take my phone number down, my cell phone.
Okay.
It is 941-809-3508. If you have a question, text me. If you're outside of this, text me. But the biggest thing I want you to do is, if you look on the screens behind me, we have done a huge amount of work. We have found every permit site, appraisal site, from all the way from Brandon to Naples. We have this one here is how to read a water heater code, how to read air conditioner codes. I will send these to you to help you out so you can understand how old something is. It will help you make that decision. The sites are awesome, how to read them. We just try, we don't give them out to everybody. I don't post them anywhere. Do I care if other inspectors get them? No, I really don't. This is, if I can help anybody improve their business, improve what they're doing, then this is well worth it.
So it looks like we have Mark that builds homes and duplexes. Is there new codes for compliancy?
No, nothing has changed.
Okay.
No code has changed. There hasn't been anything since 2007.
Okay.
They do have the 2012 codes that have come out, but Florida never adapted them.
Okay. Let's see here. What are the primary issues that you encounter when inspecting pools?
Number one is usually a leak at the motor, of course. We do see hoses that people leave on the decks near a pool. We see that all the time. We kind of know what's going on. The finish of the pool, we don't care if it's stained. What we're looking for is if there's white dust that we can tell if the finish is starting to come off, because we know that's a $4,000 or $5,000 fix. Tiles that are missing, because usually ceramic tiles are very sharp, somebody can get cut, so that's a safety issue. The railings being loose. Can't have diving boards. We will write up a diving board instantly. You're not going to be able to get insurance. And we do look at electrical being too close to the pool. It's supposed to be 5 feet out, 12 feet up. You're not supposed to have anything electrical so that somebody grabs it and gets shocked. We look at the pool lights. We do not look at the filter. We don't take the filter apart, look and see if it needs to be replaced. That's a maintenance item. We do tell you that when you're looking at a house with a pool, call up the water company, whichever one they're dealing with, and find out what their usage has been for the last 6 months. So we can tell by the amount of rain we're getting whether they should be putting water in the pool. If they're getting usage over 1,000, 2,000 gallons a month, it's either a toilet or a pool.
Okay, good tip. I hadn't thought of that one. Let's see. Do we have problems, or do you encounter any problems with sinkholes in this area, Kevin?
No, nothing. We don't have anything from Tampa south. It's all above that and going into Orlando.
Yeah. Let's see here. Well point issues with pools?
What's that?
Well point issues?
Well point. I'm not understanding.
The question is just, do you see well point issues with pools? So.
I'm not following what that is.
Okay, there's quite a few more questions, so we'll skip it and come back to that one. Hardie Board are disposing at the bottoms. Are you seeing problems with this product?
No, not really. Hardie Board is very resilient, lasts for a long, long time. A lot of times it's like weed whackers or people hitting it. Not a lot of deterioration from it.
Okay. Do you do Windmind? WINMID.
Wind mitts.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, the wind mitigation and 4 points. Yes, we do.
That makes more sense. Okay. Sorry.
So yes, we do draw inspections. You know, we actually for a lot of investors, we have banks that send us out to make sure things are being done so they can get their draw money as contractors to get these done. So we've been doing a lot of them lately. One of the things I want to bring up is we have 2 sellers that are being sued because they hid termites. One of the biggest things that we see when we're doing an investor, we can tell when we're doing a flip home from an investor. Everything is brand new painted. All the baseboards have been removed. The door frames have been redone. It's not the old wood. And we can't see if there's termite damage behind it. So what has happened with 2 investors is people went to go remodel their house. They opened up the walls and there were live termites. So, and they peeled off the baseboards and everything was chewed. So that person knew that there were termites there or termite damage and they hid it. And then and of course, when they do a disclosure, they go, oh, we really don't know anything about this house. So the sellers are going back after, the buyers are going back after those 2 guys. We've been adjudicated, so we're not in trouble with that because it's a visual inspection. So always be careful when you're an investor and you pull it apart and there's a lot of water damage or termite damage. Try to repair it. Don't try to hide it or disclose it that it's not live. Have a pest control company out and tell you it's old. Because a lot of times you open this stuff up, it is really old stuff. It has nothing to do with the structure. But if you get an inspection, when they go, there's nothing live here, you're good, then you disclose you found old damage. And that way it saves your butt because, like I said, everybody wants to sue everybody. It's ridiculous.
It definitely is. How willing are sellers to make all needed repairs you find in this current market?
A lot of that we don't know. That's part of the negotiation from the realtor and the 2 realtors dealing with the customers. Very rarely do we go back and do reinspection of repairs. Not enough people hire us to do that. Because Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner are not supposed to fix things after we find it. It's in the contract. So a lot of times they make agreements where the seller says, I'll take care of that, I'll fix it myself. And they all agree and they're very happy. So we don't get to see a lot of the negotiation part and what's fixed.
Let's see here. with past water damage from hurricanes, can a claim be filed at a later date?
I believe we've just come up to the end of making claims where I don't believe if it's either 2.5 or almost to 3 years up to September. There are people still making claims from Irma, and there's be careful. There's roofers out there that are going around telling people they have damage from Irma, and they're making claims on people's insurance right now. And the insurance companies are paying it because they don't want to fight it. So I do know that that was happening, especially down in Charlotte County, all the way to Naples. There were these companies with these tile roofs telling the insurance companies, oh, there's damage from a hurricane.
That's crazy. People, come on. Okay, let's see here. Brown spots via a few black spots on the ceiling from roof leaks. Did I can out the drywall on both or only the black mold? Should I do go into the attic and spray Kit's paint on the wood?
So, I am not a remediator, so I mean, I'm just going to give you an opinion. I am a mold assessor, so I do the testing. Number one, you can't say it's mold unless you test. And most of the time, if it was a leak, it may be. But if it's black and it's been there a while, it could be Stachybotrys, which is the worst mold that you don't want to be breathing. So I'd always be careful of that. When you're dealing with mold, remediators use containment, put plastic around it. They have air systems going so you don't breathe it. They're full mask bodysuits. If it's only a small spot, it can be cleaned. You can go up in the attic. If you had the new roof put on and you have a spot where it is dirty. Anything less than 10 square feet, you're allowed to do yourself. Over 10 square feet, it must be a remediator. So not only don't think of just the spot where it is, think about the area, because that spot is sending spores all over. So it could be further. It could have contaminated the room. It could have contaminated the air conditioning system. So there's always iffies back and forth which way you're going to go with this. But vinegar and water, a fungicide, you can get that at Lowe's, Home Depot, online, and spray that. Bleach does not kill mold. It only changes the color, just like it changes color on your clothes. Yeah. Bleach only kills bacteria.
I knew that. I learned that a long time ago. Bleach doesn't actually get rid of what you want to get rid of.
And what they sold you, you're not alone. Hi.
So let's see here. The roofing guy in Northport, the insurance was actually paying him, but he wasn't doing the work. I think there was just a clarification on what was happening with the roof guy in Northport. Filing the false claims.
If there's I have no clue on that one. That would be between the county and the homeowner to make sure it's getting done, or you're going to turn someone in.
So there was a kind of funny question. Have you ever seen a house ready to fall down from termite damage? Or
yes. Yes. Oh my, yes.
I don't know.
Outside of Philly, I used to work for Terminex, and I had their contract to repair all their insurance termite damage. And I went into I think it was a 1908 home, and the floor in the living room literally went like this. And when I climbed underneath, every single joist was totally eaten, and we had to put new trusses in. So we had to firm up the floor before we did everything. And the more we're doing it, the crushing, these 2x12s are just crushing. And then I'm looking at going, what the heck am I doing under this house? It could fall down at any time. And I was like, this is crazy. Yeah, so there's been some interesting stuff.
That is one thing that kind of grosses me out. As soon as I start seeing it, even if there's no signs that they're there, I still end up itching as soon as I start seeing bad termite damage.
And so I'm sorry, with termites, you guys have to look for wings all around the windows. You have a termite when you look at the wing. In the very top of the wing, there'll be 3 veins.
Okay.
In the very top of the wing. A regular ant will only have 1 vein. So that'll tell you the difference if you really look at, and there's a magnifying app on your phone that you can use to see that.
Look at all these tips. Okay, so one last thing, because it's 2:30. What would be the advice? Because you've been into 1 million homes, I would say, or maybe more than 1 million throughout your career. What's one thing that you would give new investors to look for when you're going into homes?
Number 1 is if you can look in the attic if you have rodents. How long have the rodents been up there? They're taken care of. In this soffit area around the house, on the roof, look and see if you see rust coming through the soffits. That means you have a leak, either an old leak or new leak going on coming out of the roof, because everything runs down the plywood or the trusses and makes its way to the ends. So that'll pretty much tell you there's a leak going on. So if you go up in the attic, you can look for that spot to see where it's coming from. Dryer vents, if they go out through the roof, make sure they're connected. Make sure they're clean, because a lot of times the attic will be full of dryer vent lint, which is a fire hazard. We will write that up. So that's the biggest things up there. Water heaters, you just have to look for rust, see what's going on with them. Wash machines, if you have a wash machine, run it. Make sure the drain is not clogged. Nobody cares if, we don't care if it washes your clothes the correct way. We just care that it drains the right way. Same with the dryer. When we run it, we're making sure that the air goes through the vent and is coming out, not clogged. Outside is where you usually find most of the problems. The old out of sight, out of mind. So spigots, the handles will be frozen, something will be wrong with them. Cracks in the walls, which are normally minor, but if you get a sideways wind, the water can make its way through the cinder block into the house behind the wall that you can't see. So, and that's an easy fix. We can talk about that another time. That's an easy fix. Pool heaters, they're really tough to know if they're actually working, because it takes up to 2 days for a pool to heat up. And not in this time of year, but in the winter time. Right now, I think our pool is like 82 degrees right now.
They're hot right now.
So, yeah, so we just want to make sure that the pool heater is blowing cold air. It's just the opposite. A pool heater, when it's in the heat pump mode, blows out cold air. When it's in air conditioning mode, and when an air conditioning mode blows out hot air.
Okay.
Look at temperatures coming out of your sinks. Make sure the lefts of the sinks, any handle is always hot water, because that's how everybody's trained. Turn on the hot water to your left side. Underneath sinks, see if there's been any leaks prior to. Everybody stuffs everything under there so you can't see the base of the sink. It has a lot of damage to it. And if that's been leaking, then you definitely have some mold under there. You will have mold. Air conditioners, a lot of times you'll see vents that have a lot of what I call blow-by, dust coming out of the vents, black on the vents. Yes, that is mold. It's Cladosporium, hyphae, penicillium, aspergillus. Very common mold in any air conditioning system. Very common. Just clean it up. Wipe it with vinegar and water, or take them down and wash them. It is inside the air conditioning system. It'll be there no matter what. Every air conditioner guy always comes in and says, "Oh my God, why didn't the guy tell you your air conditioner is full of mold?" Number one, they have no clue what they're talking about, because they're not mold inspectors. And number two, as an inspector, we know it's there already. So no house is not mold free.
Very cool.
Yeah. So that's pretty much the main things that I see.
Yeah. Perfect. No, thank you so much, Bob, for sharing some of your knowledge with us. We really appreciate it. I will, I believe I put his number in here, but I'm going to copy and paste it again if you guys do have questions or would like to hire Southwest Florida Home Inspections to come out and either look at a potential rehab for yourself or a in buyer pre-inspection, or if you're a realtor and you need a new inspector, Bob's amazing. So, and very easy to work with. So they are about a week out, it sounds like. So make sure that you're taking that into consideration when you're budgeting your time and everything. So I posted his number there again. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you, everyone, for attending. Take care. Have a great day.
Thanks, Bob.